Hi, I'm Sam from Way. We are a charity here in Swindon, and we believe that when we partner with young people, subject experts and the wider community, we can drive lasting change. Today we're doing something new. We're doing a podcast with some of the children and young people that we work with, hearing their voices and understanding their experience around the issues that matter to them, particularly around mental health and around physical health. Today we're looking at emotional health, and I'm joined by four guests, four of our young change makers. It'd be great to go through and meet each one before we get started with our conversation. So I'm looking this way.
I'm Ruby. I'm an intern and a young change maker at Way.
I'm Anya. I'm a young person at Way, and I'm 17.
I'm Eris. I'm 19 and also a young change maker.
Hi, I'm Kenton. I'm 17.
And so over the past number of weeks, and actually some of you guys months, we've really been talking about the issues that matter a lot to you, and mental health and the challenges that young people face around mental health in Swindon. And self-harm in particular is something that has come up time and time again, and the challenges that young people face. So Kenton, we see in Swindon, with admissions into hospital in particular, there's high levels of admissions due to mental health and self-harm, self-poisoning and other forms of self-harm. Why do you think in Swindon there's such a challenge in this area?
It's probably because due to some people who are like trying to get like over advantaged and like making fun of someone's like maybe disabilities or someone's like something that's probably happened in the family, or like just trying to get low, try to get under their skin.
Okay, so young people finding that they're getting stick from others.
Yeah.
Have you felt that before? What experiences have you had where people have been getting it under your skin? It's led to a really tough situation with your well-being and mental health.
It was in college with a couple mates. Someone made fun of something that had happened to me when I was a bit younger. So that got under my skin a bit.
Okay.
And that had me thinking about like that I didn't like mean anything or any of that. I will say that it did hurt.
And when you were going through that, it sounded like that was at college. Did you feel that you got the right support to help you through that difficulty? And what did good support look like in that situation?
I had a teacher put me in a private room with just me and her, just to try to calm me down a bit because I was a bit like upset about it. That did really help because I didn't want to be in like face of everyone just looking at me and all that. So
being away from everyone else and having that conversation. And what made you feel that you could trust that teacher and open up and in that safe space?
Because she was just listening and like understanding. She was respecting like what I say, even if I did swear. She wasn't like telling me off for it. She was respecting it, that they knew that I was upset. So
that's fantastic. And so I'm just going to move on to Anya. And because Anya, I know we've spoken about before at Changemakers, and something that's quite important to you is the experience you've sometimes had where we've had a great example of what good support looks like in an education setting. I know sometimes you felt that school haven't always supported you when you're finding it difficult. Could you tell us a little bit about that, how your experience of school and college helping or not helping with your well-being?
Well, I have a condition called functional tic disorder, where it's involuntary movements and sounds. And when I went to my first secondary school, they started to become more prominent in year 9. So I just ended up staying at home because I felt really different and people would make fun of me for it. Even at home, nobody knew what was going on. So my little sister and my little brother, they were making fun of me. My parents just kept telling me to like be quiet, even though they didn't like, they knew that I couldn't control it because I told them, but they didn't really understand it. I stopped going to school because I just didn't understand what was wrong with me. And then I left school and went to a different secondary school where it was all right, but there was just a couple of students that continued to make fun of me, so I ended up just not going. And then I took my GCSEs, and when I took my GCSEs, I was in a room with other students. So I was trying to suppress my tics. It didn't work very well. I ended up just leaving all of my exams and not going to any of them because I was really worried and upset that it would be my fault if other people failed because of all the noise and the movements that I was making. And then I came to college and I told the college about my tics and that because we didn't know what it was called at the time. And then they helped me understand what it was, and so did like professionals in that. So then I did understand what it was, but it is still really hard because I still have to go to college and I still have to do my exams and everything. But sitting there and trying to concentrate while you're basically losing control of your body is really hard. So my mental health started to get really bad. It was already bad because of stuff going on at home, but this just made it really worse. And then I ended up in hospital multiple times, and then I met Joe, and he told me about Way, and I ended up coming to Way Changemakers, which is where I met some lovely people. And then from there, they made me feel accepted because other people in Way have tics. It's not the same condition as mine, but it is like tics in that, which makes me feel accepted.
Amazing to hear that you've found people that accept you and you can be yourself.
Yeah.
If you could rewind and give Anya some advice, or the school some advice, let's go to that one actually. If you give the school some advice while you were in that really tough situation that meant your mental health declined to the point that you were at the hospital regularly, what advice would you give the school in that moment?
I think that schools need to be more knowledgeable in tic disorders because they knew absolutely nothing and they just made me feel horrible for it, which wasn't very nice. But then obviously once we found out what it was, my mum and most of the people in my family are very accepting about it. They don't really mind about it at all, which was nice. But I think schools need to be more like aware, especially the students and stuff, because 9 times out of 10 it is the students that will make fun of you, but that like 1% that a teacher makes fun of you for it, or they tell you to leave the class because it's something you can't control, is not very nice.
And do you think your experience and the experience of others like you should be shaping the training and the learnings for the schools and the teachers?
Yeah, I think it would be great if some schools would like ask some people with tic conditions or that to go to their schools and talk about it, because it needs to be known and accepted that if you have any type of tic condition, you do not have any control over what you say or what you do. And some of the stuff that you might say or you might do doesn't reflect on you as a person because you can't control what you're doing.
It's so helpful, Anya. Thank you for being so open and honest about your experience and your journey there.
Yeah.
And Ruby, moving on to things that influence young people around self-harm. We've spoken previously about online communities and language where young people find a community around self-harming and that it's even encouraged in those communities. Could you speak a little into that and explain to someone like me who doesn't understand that at all and feels that I'd be able to support young people better if I'm more aware of that?
So from, I want to say 2022, mid 2024, I was interacting in self-harm spaces on Twitter. And that is a side of the internet that if you're someone who is struggling with mental health or already struggling with self-harm, it can be really dangerous. That side of the internet, you'll see people posting pictures and videos of them hurting themselves. You'll see people responding to those videos, talking about how they wish they could cut themselves like that person does. You'll see people saying about how they wish they could cut themselves deeper, talking about different places they wish they could cut themselves. Like you would have people hurting themselves all different places all over their body. I was influenced by that space, and I actually self-harmed on my face at one point. Truly, it is disturbing, and it's something that I think people should be aware of because it's dangerous.
What's that like as a young person, as a child who accesses that online, and you might be in a similar situation to Kenton and Anya, where you find it really difficult at school, you might be finding it difficult at home. Mm-hmm. What's it then like when you're in that vulnerable position and then you find a community that somewhat accepts you but for the harm?
It's really weird because you're interacting with people and you find a community, and having community is good, but when it's around something that is so damaging and so unhealthy, it's really strange because when you're in it, you don't realize how bad it is. Obviously, everyone knows that self-harm is bad, but self-harm at the end of the day is an addiction, and being in a community like that only fuels that addiction, and it doesn't help your mental health at all. If anything, it very much can make it worse because you're seeing other people hurting themselves. You'll even see posts about people saying that, like, hey, the person of this account has passed away, and that's really upsetting to see. And like some of the people on there, like the ages were ranging from people who were 14 to about 19, like people, like kids, like 14-year-olds on Twitter posting videos of them cutting themselves and stuff like that. Like,
did your parents or teachers know anything about that you were accessing it?
No.
And so, having experienced that and knowing that it's going on, what needs to be done about that?
There needs to be more awareness that this side of the internet exists. People need to know the slang that people use, so they can like pick up on like if there could be an issue, or even if someone has gone to hospital or is asking for support, if they're using that slang to describe what they've done, like so those people can know what they're referring to. Because it's the internet, obviously, like here in Swindon, there's not a whole lot that can be done, but just having that awareness of that it exists and the slang and stuff like that.
Really insightful hearing that, and worrying, concerning, but being aware and hearing experiences like yours means that we can do something about it. And Eris, you mentioned previously as well around how social media can influence young people negatively around self-harm and their well-being. Would you be happy to share a little bit about that?
Well, just like social media as a whole, I don't think is very helpful due to like it becomes an echo chamber for people to like perpetuate their like negative thoughts, like what Ruby was saying, and it can become quite unhealthy. But also on the other hand, there is obviously like there are communities that I actually was part of when I was suffering quite badly, and it like would go on about, well, yes, self-harm, but like alternatives to it, like using elastic bands instead of cutting, and I found that quite helpful.
Young people like yourself and when you were younger, when they're reaching out for help, is the internet and social media the first place they turn, or would you go to family, friends? Where would you go?
Well, I mean, in my case, I actually went to ChatGPT and started using that as kind of like a therapist, because I didn't feel like I could go to my parents about it because they didn't really have an understanding of it, and I didn't really have any friends or anyone to talk to, so I went to ChatGPT, but it actually helped quite a bit and taught me different coping mechanisms.
So you actually found the AI advice helpful rather than harmful?
Yeah.
And then as time went by, did you then find help from friends, from a service, from teachers, or was it more that you were figuring it out on yourself?
Well, I was mainly figuring it out myself and trying to see what worked and what didn't.
Okay.
But it took me having to like get basically to rock bottom and having to go to hospital to actually finally be able to get the help that I needed.
Yeah. And what did that look like, the help that you needed? What did you need?
Well, being put on medication and counselling, and the way Changemakers helped quite a lot as well, because I met some nice people and actually made friends.
What would it have taken for you not to have hit rock bottom? What support would have been helpful?
Probably like a youth group, a bit like Way, where I could just talk to people who have had similar experiences to me.
And what difference does that make as opposed to a traditional therapeutic environment in terms of a counselling or one-to-one talking therapies? As valuable as that can be, what makes having young people like yourself being able to share your experiences and caring for one another so impactful?
It definitely feels a lot less formal and a lot less like kind of patient and therapist, and more kind of like actual friendship. So you're able to build way stronger connections and actual trust with them, where you're actually able to go into more deeper topics than what you normally would with just some stranger you've randomly met.
Fantastic. Thank you guys so much for your time. Before we close, it would be good to just go along the table. We'll start with you, Ruby. And just having discussed everything today, from the impact of when you're feeling low, to school, college, online, to kind of the benefits of finding friendships in groups like Changemakers and other support. What would your one piece of advice, or what would you say to decision makers? If there's a decision maker listening to this, what do you think they need to do about young people's mental health, and particularly around self-harm here in Swindon? Ruby?
I guess what I said earlier, educate yourself on internet terms that refer to self-harm, and be aware that self-harm communities online exist.
Anya?
I think that they would just need to be more aware of the stuff going on in Swindon, and especially with the young people, as more and more young people are going to hospitals for their mental health issues because they're not getting the help that they need. But the reason they're not getting the help they need is because the services and all of that, they are way too overwhelmed because of the people that need their help.
Thank you, Anya. Eris?
More youth like spaces and youth groups for people who are going through similar things, to actually be able to meet one another and share their experiences and talk about what helped them and hasn't helped them, so people could find new like opportunities for like help.
Thank you, Eris. Kenton?
To talk to someone, actually talk to them, because if you just keep on holding it all in, then it will crash, and then you'll be taking it on people that you love the most. So it's better to talk to someone than not.
Thank you guys for your time. Thank you to Swindon Borough Council and the Public Health team for commissioning this conversation. And thank you Swindon 105.5 for hosting us at this wonderful studio. And thank you for listening.